Many years ago, something happened in Rome that no history book ever recorded or remembered, and it will become the basis of your transformation in the next 15 minutes as you watch this. It happened in the winter of 167 AD. Marcus Aurelius, emperor at the time, sat in his command tent while a general in his army lost his mind in an outrage. The man's voice flared up, accusing Marcus of recklessness, of poor judgment, of risking everything because he refused to take the obvious path. Every other general in that tent froze. They turned to Marcus, waiting for the emperor to respond, to justify himself, to defend his strategy, expecting an equally fierce reaction, waiting for him to stand up and remind this man who he's speaking to. Would Marcus justify himself? Would he defend his decisions? Would he erupt in anger to judge the disrespect that was just directed at him? Marcus doesn't move. He keeps writing, stylus on wax, scratching quietly. The silence stretches so long it starts to hurt, not him, but the accuser. The general's voice falters. He scans the room for support, but finds none. Within minutes he's stammering an apology. Marcus never looked up, never said a word. The story you just heard me narrate is how most men lose everything they don't even know they had. Because the second you attempt to defend yourself before your accusers, you've admitted something dangerous, that their opinion of you matters more than your own, and in the arena of power, perception and respect, that admission is a death sentence. Here's the first gem of wisdom you should never forget. The man who defends himself descends. The man who remains silent forces the world to ascend to him. You see, defending yourself doesn't convince anyone. What it does is hand them the knife and show them exactly where to cut. Because when you justify, when you explain, when you scramble to correct their perception, you're doing something you don't even realize. You're granting them authority over your reality. You're saying, yes, your judgment matters. Yes, I need your approval. Yes, I'm on trial here. And once they have that, you've already lost. If you're ready to find out how to flip this narrative and take back your power when the stakes are at their highest and your entire reputation is being dragged through the mud, smash that like button with intention. It shows the universe you are active and ready to catch something pivotal right now. And if you are watching from the United States right now, drop a comment telling me what state you're in. I want to see where this ancient wisdom is landing tonight. You see, Marcus Aurelius spent years fighting wars on Rome's borders, dealing with plague, managing a senate full of snakes, and wrestling with the weight of an empire that wanted to devour him. But here's what he learned that most men never will. The strongest position you can take is no position at all. Not defensiveness, not explanation, just still, unshakable presence. When someone accuses you, calls you cold, arrogant, selfish, too much, too harsh, the reflexive move is to explain yourself. No, you don't understand. That's not what I meant. Let me clarify. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like you're being mature, diplomatic, fair. But to a Stoic, it's the sound of a man bleeding out in public. Because you just told them their frame is valid. You just stepped into their courtroom and accepted the role of defendant. And in that courtroom, even if you win the argument, you lose the power. Because only the weak rush to explain. The strong let the accusation hang in the air like smoke and watch it dissolve on its own. Now here's where this gets dangerous, and I need you to stay with me, because this is the move that separates men who get respect from men who beg for it. When you don't defend yourself, you flip the entire power dynamic. You make them uncomfortable. You make them question their own words. You make them look around for validation and find nothing but silence staring back. That's when their power shrinks, and that's when yours expands. Marcus Aurelius understood that the man who explains himself has subjected himself to submission. But the man who remains unmoved forces others to explain themselves. And here's the secret they don't tell you. People respect what they can't crack. They respect what they can't manipulate. They respect the man who stands in the fire and doesn't even blink. Think about the most powerful people you've ever met. Not the loudest. Not the ones posting dissertations defending their every move. The ones who held silence like a loaded weapon. The ones who, when attacked, just looked at their accuser with that calm, almost amused expression that said, "Are you done?" That's Stoic power, and it's built on one principle: I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you comfort. I don't owe you clarity about who I am. Let me show you how this works in real life. You're in a meeting. Someone takes a shot at you. Subtle or direct, doesn't matter. They may say something like, "I'm not sure that idea is as smart as he thinks it is." Or, "He always comes in with these arrogant opinions, doesn't he?" They're throwing the bait. They're waiting for you to bite. Waiting for you to lean forward, get tense, start explaining, start justifying. What does the average man do? He jumps in. He defends his position. He explains his logic. He tries to prove he's thought it through. And the whole room watches him scramble. They smell the desperation even if he's making perfect sense. But the Stoic? He leans back. He lets the comment sit. Maybe he waits 3 full seconds, maybe 5. Then, if he speaks at all, it's not a defense. It's a redirect. Let's hear your approach then. Calm, unbothered, almost curious. Now, the entire frame just flipped. Suddenly the attacker is the one under pressure. Suddenly they have to perform. And the room isn't watching you anymore. They're watching the person who thought they had you cornered, now realizing they're the ones in the spotlight. And here's the part that'll make your enemies lose sleep. You didn't argue. You didn't fight. You just refused to accept the frame. And that refusal, that calm, immovable refusal, is more powerful than any defense you could have mounted. Before we go deeper, if you're getting value from this, if you're starting to see the game clearly, smash that like button and subscribe. This channel is for men who are done playing defense and ready to own the frame. One time, Seneca was accused of hoarding wealth while preaching Stoicism. His critics were vicious. They wanted him to grovel, to justify, to explain how a philosopher could be rich. You know what Seneca didn't do? He didn't write a 50-page defense. He didn't issue a public apology. He let his accusers scream into the void while he continued his work, unbothered. Eventually, the accusations dried up. Not because he fought them, but because he never gave them oxygen. He understood something most people never grasp. Engagement is endorsement. The moment you engage with an accusation, you validate it. Even if you win, you've told the world that the accusation was worth responding to. And that's the crack they'll use to break you later. Here's the coldest move in the Stoic playbook, and it's one Marcus Aurelius used constantly. When someone accuses you, don't just stay silent. Invert the accusation back onto them without saying a word. Let your calm expose their chaos. Let your stillness reveal their desperation. Let your silence make them the one who looks unhinged. Someone calls you arrogant in front of a group. You don't flinch. You don't tense. You just hold their gaze for a beat, then look away like they're not even worth engaging. What happens? They feel it immediately, that cold dismissal, that lack of reaction. Now they look emotional. They look like they're trying too hard. They're the ones scrambling for validation from the group. You just made their attack collapse under its own weight without saying a single word. But here's where it goes even deeper. There's a level beyond silence. It's called absence. When someone insults you, attacks you, tries to drag you into their drama, and you just disappear. You don't block them. You don't argue. You don't even acknowledge that it happened. You just continue living your life at full volume while they scream into the void. This breaks people in ways you can't even imagine, because every human being craves acknowledgement, even in conflict, especially in conflict. When you remove that, when you deny them even the satisfaction of knowing they got under your skin, they spiral. They post more. They get louder. They look more desperate with every attempt to get your attention. And all the while, you're untouched, unbothered, living proof that their opinion never mattered. That's how you win without fighting. You let them destroy themselves trying to get a reaction from you that never comes. Epictetus, a former slave, was powerless in every external way. But here's what he learned in those chains that free men never understand. No one can touch what you don't give them access to. His master could control his body, but not his mind, not his judgment, not his inner peace. And that's the lesson. When someone tries to make you defend yourself, they're reaching for your inner peace. They're trying to destabilize you. They want you rattled, reactive, emotional. And the second you defend, you hand it over. You've given them access to your internal state. You've let them into the fortress. But when you don't react, when you hold the line with stoic calm, they're left grasping at air. And that's when they realize they have no power over you. None. Let me give you the tactical breakdown. 3 tools to replace defending yourself. 1. Silence, the default, the foundation. Cold, unshakable, lets them drown in their own noise. 2. Reframing. You don't deny the accusation, you make it irrelevant. Someone says you're intimidating. You say, confident people always make uncertain people uncomfortable. You just turned their insult into a compliment without defending a thing. 3. Precision strikes. Short, sharp, final. Someone says you're fake. You respond, I don't perform for validation. Someone says, you think you're better than everyone. You respond, no, I just don't think like everyone. These aren't defenses. These are status assertions. They don't say, I'm innocent. They say, you can't touch me. And here's what's about to shift your whole reality. The more you refuse to defend yourself, the more dangerous people assume you are. Because silence from a strong man isn't weakness, it's restraint. And restraint implies capacity. It implies that you could respond, you could destroy them, but you're choosing not to. And that choice makes you terrifying. Marcus Aurelius wrote this in his private journals, never intending anyone to read it. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the core of this entire philosophy. You cannot control what people say about you. You cannot control how they perceive you. But you can control whether you give a damn. And when you stop giving a damn, when you genuinely detach from their judgment, you become something they can't manipulate anymore. You become free. In relationships, this is even more potent. Your partner says, you don't care about me anymore. The average man panics. He launches into explanations. He lists everything he's done. He tries to prove his love. And in doing so, he validates the emotional frame. He's accepted the trial. But the Stoic, he doesn't dismiss them. He doesn't argue. He just lets the accusation slide. Then, with total calm, he responds, that's not how I see it. No justification, no defense, no scrambling, just a grounded truth. Now they're the one questioning themselves. They're wondering if they overreacted, if they read it wrong. Because your calm just told them something powerful. You're not threatened by their emotion. You're not controlled by their perception. You're still standing exactly where you were, unmoved. That's how you control the emotional tempo. And whoever controls the tempo controls the relationship. Here's the brutal reality most men won't accept. You don't need a good reputation to win. You need a strong one. The man with a good reputation is expected to be nice, agreeable, soft, always explaining himself. The man with a strong reputation, he's not always liked, he's not always understood, but no one moves against him casually, because they've learned this man doesn't flinch. That's what happens when you stop defending yourself. Your reputation becomes not about what people believe, but about what they fear. They fear your calm. They fear your silence. They fear that you see something they don't, and that fear creates respect. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, while Stoic philosophers before him were often mocked, dismissed, ignored. But no one mocked Marcus. Why? Because he carried himself like a man who had already decided his own worth, and their opinions were just weather passing through. When you reach that level, accusations don't land anymore. They evaporate before they reach you. If you've made it this far, then you're the type of man this message was written for. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Drop a comment telling me one situation where you're going to apply this. Let's see who's ready to stop defending and start commanding. Let me leave you with this. The final evolution isn't just silence, it's aura, it's presence. It's walking into a room and having people feel that you're not someone who explains himself. Not because you're arrogant, but because you've transcended the need for validation. You've built an inner fortress so solid that external attacks don't even register as threats. They're just noise outside the walls. And when you get there, something strange happens. People start defending you without you asking. They say, "Why are you coming after him? He didn't even respond, and you're still pushing." They become your shield. And what's better than defending yourself? Letting the world do it for you while you remain above the noise, untouchable, unmoved. Trust me, I have experienced this more times than I can recollect. You're not resisting anymore. You're not reacting. You're commanding reality by refusing to participate in battles beneath you. And that's when you become the one thing no one can control, a man who answers to no one but himself. Stop defending. Start defining. The power is yours the moment you decide no one else gets a vote.